6 lessons I wish I knew before building my startups. Let's go. I'm a former software engineer, one of you guys, and in the past 15 years, I gravitated in the world of startups and also big companies as an international consultant engineer. And I gotta say, I failed 5 of my startups. So today in this video, I'm going to share with you 6 lessons I wish I knew before building my startup, because you know what we say, dumb people don't learn from their mistakes. Average people learn from their mistakes. And smart people, you guys watching my channel, and especially the ones who are subscribed, learn from other people's mistakes. So try to learn from my mistakes because I'm going to share it with you today. Let's go. Boom. Mistake numero uno, number 1. Users can lie. If you're very used to talking to your users, you may be doing this very, very classic mistake of trusting everything your users say. And let me give you an example so if you understand that. Not that long ago, I was watching a documentary and it was a form of street interview. There was this guy going on the street and interviewing people. And that person was asking them a couple of questions. Question number 1 was, hey, what is your favorite kind of content on TV? And most of the people were saying, oh, it's definitely documentaries. And then what happened was he dived a little bit into that question. He said, okay, documentary, what did you watch last night? A tricky question. And their answer was Netflix or a reality show or a cartoon or something like that. So yes, okay, what did you watch the day before? Amazon, or a action series or a comedy, nothing but a documentary. So he said, what was the last time you watched the documentary? And here, what happened was crickets. And so if that person had stopped at the very first question, what is your favorite kind of content on television? And the answer would be documentary. That person would have gone away and said, okay, let's create documentaries. But users can lie. And sometimes, but it's very rare, people will say anything they think you want to hear so they can escape the conversation. But again, this is very rare. So what you absolutely need to do is, when you're talking to your users, go deeper in the conversation. We call this the ladder technique because it looks like a ladder. So when you're asking something, you get the first level of answer, level 1. What you want to do is you want to get to the next level, the level 2. And then you get to the next level with a level 3. And you do it again and again and again. And the way to do that is to simply ask why with the answer. So example, what is your favorite kind of content on television? Documentaries? Okay, why do you like documentaries? Always dive into the question in the interview process with your users. Don't stop at the first question. Number 2, let the 100 flowers blossom. So this one comes from my mentor, Guy Kawasaki, and this is in his book, I believe, The Art of Start. Boom, there you go. It has that principle of let the 100 flowers blossom. What does it mean? It means that you built a book, and so you thinking that people will use it as a book, but instead they use it as a post-it holder, like I'm just doing right now, and it has nothing to do with the book. The let the 100 flower blossom says, okay, plant 100 seeds and then see what flowers comes out of it. What that means, look at how people behave with your product. If you shipped a spoon and people use it as a digging tool, then follow it and make it even more a digging tool so that you can satisfy that particular behavior, as opposed to go to your users and say, hey, stop using my spoon as a digging tool. Embrace what people are doing with it and let the 100 flowers blossom. Number 3, it has to be big. Classic thing. People confuse having big goals and big visions with building something big from the start. And that is a killer, because there's one way to build a startup or build a company that is called bootstrapping. Bootstrapping. And what it means, bootstrapping, is essentially you want to build something that is super big, but you can't afford it because you don't have the resource, the knowledge, the people, And so what you essentially are going to do is that you're going to build a small thing that is going to generate a small amount of dollars that you'll be able to reinvest into building something slightly bigger that you'll be able to sell for a bit more dollars, and you'll reinvest the money to build something a bit bigger to make a bit more money, reinvest, and then eventually at some point you'll get to that big thing that you have here at the end. And so bootstrapping is a very, very powerful way of building your startup, especially if you're having a hard time getting investors' money, or if investors have a hard time seeing the potential of your idea. So bootstrapping is something very powerful, but it can only work if you understand that it doesn't have to be big when you start. And most of my clients go with the bootstrapping way because my rule of thumb is if you're not building rockets, you can probably skip investors' money. So it doesn't have to be big, but you can have a big North Star, a big vision. Hey, at this stage, if you're still watching the video, thank you so much. And to reward you, I'm gonna put in the description a little document, a form of checklist to help you stress test your ideas and help you ask the right question to help you navigate into this world of startup and hopefully avoid some of the mistakes. So check the link in the description. It's free, it's downloadable, and let's get back to the video. Number 4, don't worry, be crappy. The iPhone number 1 was shipped without copy paste. The first iPhone didn't have the App Store. Don't worry, be crappy. Your perfect product doesn't exist. What matters is that the first iterations brings enough value for people to buy, and then you'll be able to improve it and do something that we call continuous improvement. If you have a digital product or a digital service, there's a great news. With internet and a big portion of the world population being connected to the internet and connected to each other, you can ship updates very, very quickly to your users. And so you don't have to ship the perfect thing. It could contain a little bit of quirks here and there. And the goal is to get it as fast as possible to the market, as fast as possible to your users, so that they get the value, you get the money. Fight your perfectionism and ship it. Remember, don't worry, be crappy. Okay, this one is very funny. It's the number 5. You are not your customer. So story time. I was doing a big consulting in the UK, in London, with a company, and they had to rebuild a completely new version of their solution using modern technologies, etc., to make sure like the development process was smoother and faster, etc. And so we started by learning about our users. So what I did is that I asked the product owner to invite a couple of his current users of the application so we can see how they behave and how they use the current version of the tool, so we can see what's good about it, what's not good about it, and so eventually make a slightly better version when releasing the first version with the new technologies. And so the funny thing was, I was in a room interviewing the user, and I had the rest of my team in another room, and I was broadcasting everything through a webcam, and so they could see us and hear us, just like when you are in a police station in a precinct. You know, you could see people through the mirror. That was kind of the experiment. I love to do that. It's super powerful. And so I did the interview, and then when I left, I just joined the rest of the team, and I said, "Okay, guys, how was it? Did you like it?" And it was so funny because someone came to me and said, "Hey, the product owner went crazy. He was yelling at the TV that he didn't believe that that person was one of his users." And when he told me that story, I looked at the product owner and I said, "Really?" And he looked at me and I said, "Okay, I trust you. Just do whatever you want. I don't know my users." And the thing is, he thought he knew more about the problem and the solution than their own users. But when he really looked at his customers, his users, he realized that he knew pretty much nothing about them. And so he had to trust us to do the research and build the right thing for them. And so you're not your customer, even if you're using the application yourself. If you build the perfect shoe fitting your foot, it's gonna fit nobody else. But you're here in business, so you want to make sure you sell those shoes to other people. So it cannot be perfect for your feet because you are not the one buying. Boop. And the final one, my favorite. Build it and they will come. I think this is one of the main reasons why I crashed my first startups, is because I was focused on building something that I thought, okay, if I make a great product, it would just sell like cupcakes. But here's the thing, and I said cupcakes for a reason. A digital service is not like a real material product. What I mean by that is people can smell pizza from the other side of the street, but they cannot smell your app or your SaaS from the other side of the internet. And same thing, if you open a bakery, people can walk past your bakery and smell the bread, smell the cakes, but nobody is walking on the street where your SaaS is located. Internet doesn't work like that. Even if we say internet is composed by highways, it's a metaphor, but it's not really true. Nobody walks and see what you're building. You don't have a window that has traffic to it. So you need to drag people and get their attention to your product and service. And so build it and they will come is a lie, and it could be deadly to your business. So what you want to do is you want to go out there and get people's attention. So, and there are many, many ways of doing that. I made a couple of videos on my YouTube channel, so feel free to check it out. But here's the thing. If you want to build a SaaS or any digital service business or startup, you need to solve something that is often much harder than building something, or actually building the thing, and it's building demand. Because here's the reality. You can build a product and nobody comes, and then you have to start over again. But if you start by building demand, then you can ship them multiple products. If one product doesn't work, you just build another one, but you don't have to start all over again at the demand phase, because you can capitalize on that. And what I mean by demand, it could be as simple as a database of emails, a waiting list, a newsletter, a contact list. And that's something you can capitalize on and then ship multiple iterations and multiple products. Look at influencers, for example. They create content on social media, and so they get a big pool of followers that are their audience, and what they're trying to do is to convert them into a community, and then they'll try to ship product to this community. And it's a bit the same way. Like, ask yourself, especially if you come from a technical background, what is the hardest thing? Is it to build a software or a SaaS, or is it to get people to buy? If the answer is it's harder to get people to buy, then think of building and solving the hardest problem first. Because if you can't solve demand, you'll never make it, especially if it's harder than building the software or the product. So focus on fixing your hardest problem first. It's just like building a car. If you cannot build an engine, if you don't know how to build an engine, there's no point of building the wheels, the windows, the doors, the frames, because you'll always be stuck at the engine phase. And so what you want to do is try to fix the building the engine, because once you build the engine, you know that the rest is possible. Maybe you can outsource it, maybe you can buy it, but the engine is what makes the car moving. And in our situation, the engine is our money business. So fix the hardest problem first, which is getting people's attention and getting people ready to pay, and then give them solutions and products. These are the 6 lessons I wish I had known 15 years ago when I started. And hopefully now you have these lessons and you're ready to tackle some of those challenges. Time for the conclusion. So again, if you like this video, let me know in the comments down below. Feel free to subscribe and everything, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. If you're stuck at some of these lessons, there's a link in the description down below. It's a 30-minute free consultation call for you and I, and you can discuss all the problems that you may have. Don't forget, I also gave you a little checklist to help you stress test your ideas. I'm Riley, startup advisor and investor. Boom.